So I bought an Aerogarden. This is the, I believe this is the Aerogarden Slim. It has 6 slots for seed pods. All but one seed pod has sprouted. So there's this right here is mint. This is a Genovese basil. This is parsley, and you can, it's there just barely. This is thyme, and it has not yet sprouted. This is another basil. This is Thai basil, and then this is dill. So this is as tall as this light will go. So this light will not raise anymore. And as you can see, my plants are actually touching it. Right here, there are burn marks.
Right here, there are burn marks.
So, give me just a second. Not what I would have picked for my first attempt here at hydroponics gardening. This is not what but this is what came with the kit. It came with the seeds and everything. I didn't get to choose. So, what I need to do today is I actually need to trim this basil. And this was actually standing up until I started messing with it for this video. It looks like it's broken down there, so we're going to cut that one completely off. But I need to trim this. So what I need to do is this main stalk, so this really thick piece that goes all the way down to the bottom right here. It's really thick. It says you need to trim it back to kind of where it splits, and it's going to create a bushier bush. Now, again, this is as high as this light will go, so I'm going to trim it down quite a bit. I mean, you see it's actually splitting all the way down here. So I'm actually going to trim, you know, here's, for lack of a better word, I'm going to call it a knuckle. I'm sure it has a more official name, but there's a knuckle and there's a knuckle. So I'm going to cut. This is just a pair of kitchen shears. I couldn't find my good pruning shears at that knuckle. And then take it off. I mean, these leaves are huge. And then I'm actually going to trim this one as well, because there's several plants here in this pod. I probably should thin this out to the Facebook groups, say to thin it. Right. Now, this one is almost touching as well. This is a different type of basil. Man, that basil's strong now. Now that I've cut it and started messing with it, it's super strong. We're gonna do this the same way. This may or may not be the right way to do it, so I definitely do not have all the answers. My grandparents could grow anything. They'd plant it, a month later, it's like magic. You were eating it. I do not have that green thumb. But I'm trying to make this shorter, so we're going to cut down again. See this big thick stalk right here is actually a shoot. I'm going to cut it back. Again, I may or may not be doing this right. That's why I'm sharing this. I'm sure I'm not the only one out there that's like, all right, now what do I do? So you just kind of figure it out as you go along, right? Now I'm trying to get this shorter because what I want to do is I want to bring this light down. You're only supposed to be 2 to 3 inches above what you're growing. So I'm going to drop this light back down. So I want to bring it down till it's touching and then pull it up. And it kind of has these predetermined spots, so it clicked. So now that I'll show you, this is what I've cut from my Genovese basil. I'm probably not pronouncing that right. This is my Thai basil. But what I want to show you is now that I've trimmed this off, let's see if my phone will do this. But those are the burn marks, and that's from the light. And this thing is just taken off in the last couple days. I've had to move it up almost every day this week. It was not touching last night, and then today it is. So we're trimming that off. This is gonna go in spaghetti sauce. See what happens. Okay, so we trimmed our 2 basils, made them shorter. I actually took out a couple of the smaller plants too, in between. There was just too many plants coming out of this little hole. So next what we're gonna do is we're gonna trim the roots. And the reason why we want to trim the roots is if the roots get too much in here in this reservoir, then it'll choke out the other plants. The other thing that I was asked to mention is that this plant food light right here, this green light, it may look like it's blinking on the video, but it's actually not right now. When it is time for more plant food to be added, it turns red, bright red. So think of it like green means go, red means stop. So as long as it's green, it's got plenty of plant food. Also, when it gets low on water, this blue water light will flash very slowly. It like goes completely off and then back on. The grow light cycles on and off. The pump cycles on and off. So this has really been a set it and forget it type thing. I set it up, followed the directions, and left it alone, and it's kind of done its own thing. So for me that does not have a green thumb, it's super handy. All right, so we're gonna take this pod out. So these pods can actually, you know, when they get too big, if you want to continue to grow them, you can actually put them in what's called a cracky jar, which is like an amber colored mason jar. You can do what's called hardening them off and put them in soil. So this is really hard to come out. See how that's picking this whole top up? It's because the roots are just so thick. I mean, I'm having to pull pretty hard to get this out of there. It's taking my other plants with it. We're pulling slowly because I'm trying not to like tear the roots. Looks like I lost a few in there. Okay. So, I mean, these are the roots of this. I mean, that's like, I mean, look at that. We lost a few here. Get them off our, let's move our plants. All right. So this plastic goes down to right here. So that's what the pod looks like when you put it in. Now all these roots. So we do not want this many roots. Hopefully we won't kill our plant doing this. But everybody says you gotta kind of trim them off so that it, you know, gives the other plants plenty of space to grow. You know, because I've got other plants in here trying to grow. If somebody has a ton of experience with an Aerogarden and wants to leave feedback or comments, I'm absolutely open to that. I'm just kind of trying to show somebody with no experience and definitely not a green thumb how this product works. I also think it's important to mention is that I paid for this product. Aerogarden didn't send it to me. This is not in any way, shape, or form any sort of sponsored post. This is a product I bought. I'm hoping, you know, as we redo our farm and we live on our farm full time, we're wanting to create a homestead, and we're wanting to actually grow at least 50% of our own food. So we don't necessarily want to change what we eat and have it focus on, you know, what will grow in our climate. We want to try and figure out ways to produce what we like to eat and see if that's possible for several reasons. One, we know what's going into the food. We can control costs a little bit better. I think it's a little healthier. So I've trimmed this off. Now it's, I mean, it's pretty much the same length here as the little pod. So I've got a few outliers that are sticking out. Now, let's see. And I may have trimmed that too much. I mean, we'll wait a few days and see what happens to the basil plant. All right, slid it right back in that hole. Now I want to show you guys. I feel like I've just given a kid a haircut or something here. Look at the amount of roots took off of that. Alright, so I've still got some here on the table, so it's sticking to everything. So that one is done. My other basil, my Thai basil, we're going to do it next. We're going to take this Thai basil out and see what its roots look like. And we're going to do the same thing. Oh look, it's not near as thick as that other one, but it's pulling my dill out. See how it's lifting up that dill plant? We're going real slow, taking our time. So again, I don't want to break any of these. You know, I don't want to harm the plants. I think they're stuck to each other inside there. Okay. So, I mean, that's basically the height of this Aerogarden. So we'll do the same one with this one that we did with the last one. There's the bottom of the white, the canister it comes in, and we are just gonna trim it back. I think I mean it's basically even with the bottom of that little seed pod holder. So now we're gonna slide it back in its hole here. We want all the pieces to point down as much as possible. Alright, there. Okay, we've changed positions now, and what I'm trying to show, and I don't know if it's going to show up on the video, is that the roots that I just trimmed on the second basil are actually so short now that they're not quite touching the water. So there's a little thing here that sticks up that says fill to here. So your water has to go all the way to the top of this, this little plastic thing. And I did fill this the other day. It's been really hot here. And now my roots, it's really hard to stand there. But it's just barely touching the water. So we're gonna go ahead and top that water off even before the water light starts flashing. Because we want to make sure that those roots that we just cut really have the opportunity to soak up a ton of water. We don't want them to, and who knows, this may be crazy thinking, but we don't want them to have to grow to the water. We want to bring the water to them. So we'll check in a week or so and see if I've just killed my basil.
3 days later.
Okay, so here we are a few days later after trimming both of the basil plants and their roots. And as you can see, you know, the day I did that, which was maybe 4 days ago, I added water. So I topped off the water that day. But as you can see, the water light there is now flashing. Now I know on the video it looks like the green light, the add plant food light, is also flashing. But it's not. It's just the red add water light. That's that green is just some weird iteration of it being on video. The other, benefit here is that my dill plant has really stood up, and the basil plants are actually they've actually grown quite a bit too. So they're almost they may need to be trimmed again here in a couple days because I had put the light down to its lowest setting when I trimmed them, and I've already had to click that light up one. And as you can see, you know, it's pretty close again. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add water. Bugs like to get in there, so you actually have to clean that out every few days. So this opening here is where the water goes in, and I'm gonna reuse a plastic jug that I have here in the kitchen. I'm gonna fill it. This is just tap water. It's nothing super special. You just pour it in there. All right, so as you can see, it says fill to here. We're not quite there yet. We're gonna keep filling it. Oh, we're pretty close. I kind of wait. Guys, I am no expert. I do not have a green thumb at all. Most plants I try to grow, I kill, but I kind of fill it until the water is just, think of it like a dam. I mean, that's me. See, it's a little too full right now. Just a tiny bit, because the water is just over the top, but I don't see it leaking anywhere, so we're gonna leave it as is. Now, the other thing I want to show you, let's see what my camera skills are like, is look at that light.
Oh my gosh.
Look at the light. So the light has turned back blue. So the system knows that I put water in it. I didn't have to push any buttons to reset it. Again, this green light is not actually flashing. It just looks that way in this video. But yeah, so there you go.